So if you look at the supply chain here, it's another graphical display of that. You have multiple cycles in the middle, and currently it's like every time you have one of these cycles, they use a single-use logger, or they use maybe an online logger to monitor that piece of the supply chain. But this multiple cycle thing that can happen 3, 4, 5 times. So you have all this fragmented information in all different systems from all kinds of suppliers. So what we want to do is that box that you see coming out of that factory on the left, the first box, you want to put the sensor in there. That same sensor is going to be in there during all those multiple cycles, and is still in there when it comes out of those multiple cycles. Is going to be unpacked. So then you don't need all this, data consolidation in the middle to be able to know what has actually happened to the box. So it makes that whole process a lot simpler. And the other thing we can do, and that's on the right side, which is also, let's say, a rather new concept. We call it TOS or TOR. That's another term people use, time out of storage or time out of refrigeration. So what people have is they have a budget. The budget is how much time can this product be out of refrigeration or out of storage before we cannot deliver it further down the line to the next handover point. So they have the TOS or TOR budget. We can manage the budget. So if in step 1 and 2, people use less of the budget than they're allotted, so that the allotted ones are on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, you see them on the right side. And you see in the middle is what we actually measured. And then you see in step 3, normally this shipment would be disqualified and destroyed or shredded, because it went over the time out of storage that was budgeted for this step. But since we had budget left in step 1 and 2, this can still proceed down the line because it's not over the total budget yet. So this is also like, this saves pharmaceutical companies money, because you don't destroy product that's still good to use. I hope I make some sense. Maybe so, maybe not. And we can do this because we use a unique, let's say, architecture for infrastructure, because all the sensors and the gateways and the smartphone that we use as a gateway, they deliver all this data into our end cloud, the big data store. But all this data needs to be put into context, and the context that we use a low-code platform for that, Mendix. Just please look it up. It's one of the most highly valued low-code platforms in the Gartner research and stuff. So we are able to evaluate data, create customer portals, create smartphone apps using this platform. And we also can integrate with other platforms, with APIs and stuff. So we have already done a lot of work in that field. So people can easily connect to our platform, and they can get the data out that they want. So that's very, very important, and it's lightning fast. So that's very critical as well. Another thing that's critical is how fast our sensors synchronize, because you, especially in logistics, you don't have a lot of time, so you can't have a sensor sit around for minutes or hours on end to synchronize its data to cloud. So it needs to be very, very, very quick. So if we see a sensor and we connect it to our end cloud, the rate is actually higher than 9,000 data points a minute. It's actually about double that. It's we synchronize 1 month of data. That's about 8,400 data points in about 34 seconds. So it's really, really quick. So even if you have to synchronize a month of data, all it needs is about 30, maybe a minute, when it's in range of a smartphone or a gateway, to synchronize its data into the cloud. So that's very, very quick. of course, we back up the sensor with a tremendous battery life and also storage. So the smaller one has 210,000 data points, so that's over 2 years of data. And even in the last month, I can still synchronize the data from day one up until the last day, and that still works. And we have the end-lux that has the sensor to detect light opening or the box opening. So you can actually create events that depend on whether or not the box is opened. For one of our customers, we used this to actually start a shipment because they send a pre-configured box to a client. The box is opened, the client puts his product in, the box is closed, and that starts the shipment of that client, and the client ships the box to its destination. The destination scans the box and generates the shipment report. So that's all automated. Yeah, as we already discussed, we have 250 sensors online with one gateway. That's no problem. Gateways are also load balancing automatically, so you don't need any hassle to do that. And so yeah, that's the way we vision our box monitoring program.